Fire them up. That's what we do at the Andrew Gosser Show. We fire them up right here on 1039 WYAB, where we are streaming on Rumble. We are streaming on X. We are streaming on YouTube. No one gives a muck about Facebook. And we are streaming at WYAB.com. I said muck, 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 ladies and gentlemen. Get it right. So if you can't pick up the blowtorch that is 1039 WYAB, the 50,000 watt blowtorch, then like, share, and subscribe to the stream. Help us build the channel. Help us build the station. We'd appreciate that. Tell a friend, tell a neighbor, tell a Democrat, tell a Nancy, tell a Karen. Follow me on X. It's just at Andrew Gosser, ANDREWGASSER. If you want to see the stories that I'm using today. And ladies and gentlemen, the mission here at the Andrew Gosser Show is standard. We are here to equip the saints. Who are the saints? Y'all are the saints. And we got a 2-for-1 special today, ladies and gentlemen. Blessed are your eyes, for they can see, and blessed are your ears because they can hear. And ladies and gentlemen, this is the one that's going to drive the whole show today. Fathers, do not provoke your children to anger, but bring them to the discipline and the instruction of the Lord. Ladies and gentlemen, yesterday, I got so angry. I got so fired up. If you know, you know. Master Armand went from Twiz to single target track, Fox 3, Pitbull. I was not messing around. Who was my ire at? Was it at the Sweet Toots? Absolutely not. Man, I've got such good relationship with my daughter. She came in and she wanted to do some sociology work. And I'm like, this is great. And she's actually, it's not even with her high school. She's actually doing a sociology class through Hines Community College, which is who I'm really upset about. And they're using Canvas. And, you know, Canvas has been around a long time. I can remember using Canvas back in 2007, 2008 timeframe, also a little bit 2017, 2018 timeframe. And what Hines Community College is doing in their sociology class is absolutely, it's not even criminal. It's just, let's call it what it is. It's brainwashing. My daughter, the instructions were really clear. Definition of sociology: do not use AI, and you have to go ahead and give your response, what you think sociology is, and then respond to 2 comments on other people's posts. And that's how she gets credit. Ladies and gentlemen, she doesn't even have to read a textbook. It's all digital, and she doesn't even have to read. It will read it for her. Is it even in an American accent? Nope. It's British, European. It almost reminds me of Grand Moff Tarkin from Star Wars with that British villainous accent that they have. And it's really, really disgusting to me because my daughter could see it too. This was the incredible point about all of this as I pull up my next thing here. The definition of sociology, I asked Grok. And this is what Grok said. I limited it to 3 sentences because Grok wanted to give me a PhD overview of sociology, and I don't need to do it because I've got my own opinion, and I'm going to tell you what it is. Sociology is a scientific study of societal or social relationships, institutions, and patterns of group behavior. It examines how people organize themselves, how culture and power shape everyday life, and how social structures change over time. Sociologists use observations, surveys, and analysis to explain social problems and the forces that hold communities together or pull them apart. That is nothing like the answer that Hines County Community College sociology class was giving my daughter. And ladies and gentlemen, I went full Gen X mode. Sociology is the non-scientific study of how to make societal aberrations and weirdness normal. It just takes a lot of time. Over time, they slowly change the way we think. Not quickly. In the end, people say the end times, it changes really quickly, like we're seeing now. But it wasn't that way back when we started looking at all this craziness. And you've heard me mention Mr. Newman shout out to Mr. Newman, God rest your soul, Cary Grove High School, sociology teacher. Man, he called it. And I think he was a liberal looking back on it, but he said sociology is going to change the way we look at history. It's going to change the way we look at things, not necessarily from a scientific point of view, but from an emotional point of view. And isn't that what's happening with this Lindsay Clancy trial? You've got the entire world debating each other on whether this chick is guilty or not. And ladies and gentlemen, I know that Clay Edwards and Sean Yerkeron talked about this, but Massachusetts is a funny state, ladies and gentlemen. If you plead insanity defense in Mississippi, you as the defendant need to prove your innocence. Not in Massachusetts. It's the burden of the state to prove that Lindsay Clancy was crazy. The witch is going to get off. The witch is going to get off. And even the very brilliant mind of the Sweet Bee had to take pause as we debated this. And when it happens, men go bat spit crazy. They shoot their wife, they shoot their kids. You don't see men out there parading around, marching around with signs, slogans, throwing ice in the tub to express their rage and outrage and anger. You don't see that. You don't see men acting like this nonsense. Which leads me to December 31st, 2021. Do you remember what you were doing December 31st, 2021? Trump had lost the election. The clampdown was just beginning on social media, and something started trending worldwide. Mass formation psychosis. And so quickly, the very next day, January 1st, Google began displaying a special notice on the results page if you searched up what mass formation psychosis was. We watched the brainwashing of humanity right before our very eyes. I submit to the audience that this was the day that the turning really started, the fourth or fifth turning, however you want to look at it. Because now no one can debate each other. What's the first thing you do when you get into a debate? Most people, not everybody. They immediately pull up their phone and look for supporting evidence to their point of view. They can't sit there and critically think. They don't have the discernment to do it themselves. They got to go to their Chat GPT. They got to go to their Grok. They got to go to wherever it is that they got to go to pull up their answers. And look, I'm a little bit guilty of that myself. I know where the answer is. I know what to look for. I don't have to ask Grok to give me its opinion. But I do have to sit there and say, okay, I know that this says it at this spot right here. Let me pull that up and read that. And unfortunately, in today's society, if you're not 100% right, they find the 1% that you're wrong with, or even the 5% that you're wrong with, and then completely blow that up and make that the argument, and then completely determine that the rest of your 95% stuff, which is correct, which is by your own fault, wrong, because the 5% that's wrong is your fault, not the truth's fault. But it's just what liberals do. It's what this rot gut does. Some people call it culture rot. If you could talk to the Gen Zers and late millennials, they call it brain rot. They can't sit there and have a conversation without saying like 15,000 times. And even my daughter does it. And I'm like, can you see? There you go. Can you speak without saying like? Now I've doomed myself for the rest of the show. Yet we progress on. Google has done this multiple times over rapidly evolving results. And when somebody has a breakthrough in the matrix and we point something out, Google immediately trends the algorithm. We talk about the algorithm all the time. The algorithm steers you towards this. The algorithm steers you towards that. And meanwhile, do we care? Nope. Because we can go to the Shell station. Shout out to the Shell station in Florida on 49. where I get a breakfast sandwich or a breakfast sausage. Man, I'll tell you what, so good. Brother Ryan takes care of me. The ladies there are sweet. But you know what? I don't have to wait too long in line to get that good fresh breakfast sandwich. I don't have to sit there and worry about getting shot as I'm driving to work like I was convoying in Kabul, Afghanistan, whether you're gonna get blown up or not. We don't worry about those things here in America. So the fact that the algorithm steers us a certain way, it's not a big deal. We just accept it. Now, this sociology stuff that my daughter was being subjected to, did they quote the founding fathers about the makeup of our society? Did they think the great philosophers? Nope. What was it about? Gender affirmation, ladies and gentlemen. Gender affirmation, gay marriage, the struggle of civil rights, the power of white men, the power of white women, the lack of power in small groups. They were quoting the Muslim theologians in this sociological debate. They were more worried about the environment. And don't get me started on the environment. We have documented on this program how we're on the cusp of destroying the Earth's environment just 10 years away, just 5 years away. Maha Rushy had the great environmental countdown with Al Gore spitting fire out of his mouth, talking about the end of the world. Remember that? No one talks about that anymore. That's so 2015, Andrew. Yeah, maybe if we go back and we start looking at what really happened and not what Google and AI and our brain rotted quote unquote friends are telling us, but actually go back and look at the truth and the facts, we're going to see that our society is very different than what they want us to believe. And this Lindsay situation is really, I feel it's going to be another turning point, just like mass formation psychosis, because there are women out there who aren't having it. They are not having it whatsoever. And there are a lot of men who aren't having it either. And you just have to go look no further than Tic Tac. And you can see grown women, quote unquote, educated, nurses, doctors, scientists, all agreeing with this crazy lunatic. You know, we go look back in the history of society. We've never had fear spread like this across the world, around the globe. Even things with the Black Plague and everything. We didn't have the ability to communicate this quick. They said that a lie travels 5 times around the earth before the truth even thinks about starting to talk. Now that lie travels around the earth 1,000,000,000 times before the truth even gets going. This woman is crazy. And these nurses, these doctors, these psychologists and psychiatrists who are trying to defend this woman, they have kids, and they're defending this woman. No, it's insanity. It's absolute insanity, and we're normalizing it. You know, this is like me breeding sheep and breeding for the rare, not dominant genes. It's like I'm trying to breed out or breed in the malformities, the genes that shouldn't be there, the recessive genes. Still got it a little bit there, sweet pea. Recessive genes. Thank you. Breeding for the recessive genes. You know, I have most of my baby lambs, they're all white. They're to the breed standard. Everything's perfect. But every once in a while, we get some spotted lambs. We get the ones we always have a baby lamb called Socks because she's or the ones with the speckled face. 21, my favorite ewe of all time. She was brown with a brown speckled face. She was awesome, and she was a witch too. She had an attitude. I loved her so much. And Sweet Bee and Sweet Toots couldn't pet her, but she would come up to me. That was my girl. And she had a bad delivery, died. Painful. Feel horrible. I miss her greatly. But I'm not breeding those recessive genes. And what TikTok is doing is not only breeding the recessive genes, but normalizing them. So we need more SSRIs. We need more medications. Pill popper. Pop the pills. Pop the pills. And then we get on social media and we talk about it even more on the Instagram. We talk about it more in on Facebook. And then meanwhile, the normal ones, we're sitting there cutting this up, thinking, "Look at this crazy witch. Look at what she's saying." And we're not realizing that our culture, our way of life, the things that got us to where we're at are being stolen from us right before our very eyes, and we're all not the wiser for it. You are listening to the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYB. We're off and running. We'll be right back. And we are back here at the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB, where we're moving and grooving. 601-879-0002 is the number if you want to get on the program. People, you're quoting Ephesians in the Bible. You don't like Ephesians? How about Colossians? Fathers, do not provoke your children, or they become discouraged. Is it not true? Is that not only intelligent, but wise? Now think about this. Sweet Toots comes into the room saying, "Dad, can you help me with my sociology?" And I start teasing her because she doesn't know what the heck's going on in her sociology class. Now, this is just basic stuff to us Gen Xers, but there are a lot of millennials and Zoomers out there who are new parents who don't seem to get the memo that your kid is not there to be an object of inanimate object or an object of entertainment, but you're there to train them up to be wise, to be intelligent. You know, we talk about we want our kids to grow up to be doctors and lawyers and philosophers and people of influence and important political figures. But we don't even train our kids up how to be a parent or how to manage their own bank accounts. We don't hold our own kids accountable. And then all of a sudden, when life comes knocking at their door and they're being held accountable, all of a sudden it's like, oh, Dad, I really want this Jeep. Well, you do realize that the tires are going to go bad on it. They're going to be more expensive. It's going to be more expensive to fill up with gas. And you're going to have to get a special oil change because it's a Jeep and Jeeps always break. But they're really cool. Everybody in my class has got one. And I drive by the parking lot and what do I see? I see about 5 or 6 Jeeps out there. All the girls got the Jeeps, all the guys got the trucks. Now, guys, do we really need the Tundras, the Ford F-250 Super Duties? Well, if you're on a farm, yep, you do. But are there more economical choices out there? Yes, there are. And I'm kicking myself in the butt for letting the Sweet Toots get this Jeep. It's awesome, and it's been good to her, I'm not gonna lie. But it is a financial nightmare, and now the Sweet Toots is having to come to grips that it costs her about $700 a month between a payment, gas, oil change, tires, and Andy, she's not having to change tires every month, no, but she gotta put a fund away because when the tires go, you just don't change one of those tires. Those are the big mud clod hoppers too. It's not like it's the regular Jeep tires, and I'm kinda glad for that because she can't go as fast on it, a little bit more stable wheelbase. Yep, but my point of this is that I can sit there and I can tease the Sweet Toots on how she made a poor choice for the Jeep, and I can also hold myself accountable and look at myself in the mirror and saying, "Andy, you big dummy, you knew better. You should have let her get the Prius." And I should have. That would have been our 3rd Prius in the family. Yep, gas prices are high, but when you only need $10 to fill up and you're getting 550, close to 600 miles to a tank of gas because you drive the right way, you're doing all right. And if you have to go 85, 90 on 55 north in the morning because that's what the traffic is going at, well, then you're all right too. Just because my Prius takes a little bit longer to get up to speed doesn't mean that it isn't getting there. Getting back to the sociology stuff, they actually spent a whole section, an entire section, the biggest section on American politics. Who was the topic? Ladies and gentlemen, I kid you not, Karl Marx, Marxism, and how Marxism will eventually be proven right, how the workers will rise up in revolt. And it goes into exquisite detail about this. And I can see why weak-minded skulls full of mush who have never had any real debate in philosophy, no real upbringing, no realism, no real businesses, never learned about capitalism, free market capitalism, never learned about Adam Smith and the silent hand that is the economy, would buy off on Marxism because Hines County is pushing it down everybody's throat. And it was funny because the Sweet Tooth is sitting there saying, "Dad, we're not supposed to use AI, and look at this is AI, this is AI, I can tell this is AI." The first sentences are almost exactly the same. So either the other students in her class were just cutting and pasting from the book, or they just threw it into ChatGPT or Grok or Claude or whatever that it is that they're using. These kids aren't learning to think and reason which is why we're supposed to go to school. That's what the social sciences were all about. I think the social sciences are destroying science because we don't know what a boy or a girl is. We don't know what a marriage is. There's traditional marriage. It's not traditional marriage, it's just marriage. And these kids are having to fight wars that they should have never had to fight in the classroom. They should be solving problems about physics and logic and technology, not wondering whether or not it's right for two dudes to shack up, and how we should prioritize saving failed civilizations. It's absolutely mind blowing me. I would much rather have my daughter learning about the importance of chickens and making sure how to give them the right food ratio and water ratio than learning about some of this crap that they're putting in our sociology class. And to the sweet tooth's credit, I did ask for her to send me screenshots. She said, "No, Dad, I'm not going to do that." I would have not used the names of these students, these future astronauts, engineers, and rocket scientists. But I wanted to read that, but she said no. Did I sit there and get all up in her business? Nope. I respected my daughter. Did this Lindsay Clancy chick respect her kids? Did Lindsay Clancy respect her husband? Did Clancy respect anybody? And before you're saying, "Oh, she had postpartum and she had all these problems," this witch had a friggin' maid. She had involved grandparents who were wanting to take the kids so that she could get downtime. She declined. This is all premeditated on her part. This is just proof to me that demons exist, ladies and gentlemen. And everybody's talking about how they believe in God and they believe in it, but when as soon as you start talking about it, they shut down. Shout out to Jameson, Gabrielle, and the other brother, Coleman, for walking in their biblical worldviews. I know sometimes I get a little fired up and a little mouthy, but I'm right there with you. We can't teach a biblical worldview anymore. When we get back, I'm going to talk about that a little bit more. I'm going to talk about a special September 10th show that we're going to have, special September 11th show we're going to have. Man, that's going to be two jam-packed shows right there. And we got to talk about what's going on at Martin's downtown coming on Monday. Oh, and Brother Rick. How I got Brother Rick and his secretary in a fight. It didn't come to blows, but definitely it's actually pretty funny when you think about it. You are listening to the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYB. We'll be right back. Happy positive thoughts in your mind when you're listening to the Andrew Gosser Show right here on 1039 WYAB. Good morning, Rebel. Great to see you checking in. Great to see Brother Rick checking in. Got a lot of people checking in. And I just got to tell you, Monday is the day to go to Martin's downtown. The Arsenal are playing Aston Villa in Aston Villa. 2 o'clock. I'm going to be there. It'd be great to go ahead and meet some of the people who listen to me daily. Love to see that blue collar crew. I know that you can't take a day off, but you're still invited. And I know people are saying, Andy, you should be careful about these meetups. You know what? I look forward to meeting people. Man, I want to meet Brother John, Pastor PD. I do. Those are people I want to meet. And today at Martin's downtown, Blue Plate Special, I believe, is fried chicken, ladies and gentlemen. I've never had it, but I might actually go to Martin's today too, just to give them some business and to try some of their other specials. I did go there last Friday to watch Arsenal, and as many people know, I don't have cable at home. I don't have the USA Network. I don't have any of that. And while I can enjoy the Arsenal game, I want to do that. And why not do it at one of the great sponsors here at WYB, Martin's Downtown? So make plans for that this Tuesday or this coming Monday. And speaking of getting your days mixed up, Brother Rick and I are planning the next show, and we genuinely thought yesterday was Wednesday and that today was Thursday. So much so he got in an argument with his secretary at work. Didn't come to blows, but it got apparently pretty serious. We were laughing about it yesterday after the show. He's driving home. He's like, "You realize that today is Friday?" I'm like, "I don't even know what day it is. I'm just so happy I get up and produce a carbon anymore." Yep, go into work, get behind this microphone. Very blessed and cherished to have it, and be able to go ahead and talk to all of you all, and provide a not just a biblical worldview, but a common sense worldview. And you know what is really starting to get to me, or actually, it's kind of rewarding to me, gratifying to me, if I can use that word, is to see all the men just start looking at these women and calling them crazy. There are men out there who are now reporting these crazy nurses and doctors who are doing these crazy viral TikTok videos to their employers, and some of them are getting fired. These women are man haters, and it's not right. Am I saying everything that men do is correct? No. Men, we gotta work on ourselves too. We gotta love our wives and our girlfriends like Christ loved the church. And the thing is, I don't think women understand it, is that in real situations, men are just built differently than women. We fight. Can a woman be trained to do it? Yep, but it's not the same. And there's this PhD psychologist who's saying, until a man can have a baby, completely proving the point that there's no such thing as a trans man or a trans woman because it's never gonna happen. And she didn't even realize she made the argument for against trans acceptance in her own argument to defend this Lindsay Clancy chick. Till a man goes through postpartum, some people say that men can actually do go through postpartum. I never did. I was so excited to see my babies and hold them. I was really happy. But they say that men can do that. Until a man goes through a menstrual cycle. Well, a man's never gonna do that, whether they're trans or not. Thank you for agreeing with me. You're not gonna know what she feels or what she thinks. And it just further proves the point that when you got enough people screaming on Instagram and TikTok and Snapchat, that people start to believe this garbage. And you literally have hundreds of thousands. No, you let me be clear. Yeah, you have hundreds of thousands of medical professionals who are agreeing with Lindsay Clancy, and you have millions and millions, the millions and millions of people around the world who are agreeing with this mass formation psychosis. It's crazy to me. I do not see how people cannot realize that they're being brainwashed. And maybe because I went to Happy Valley. Maybe it's because the military trained me to recognize propaganda when I see it. Maybe the military taught me how to produce a little bit of propaganda. There are agencies out there that do that all the time. I'm not for it, ladies and gentlemen. And until men start standing up to this craziness, we're just going to continue to have societal decline, society de-evolution, and using absurdity to illustrate absurdity is great. But at what point do you say that this stuff is just so absurd that we can't take it anymore? I I would not want to have people sitting there thinking that are working on me and my Parkinson's and my back and my knee and all the stuff that's falling apart on this body now. And sitting there thinking that, you know what, this guy's a man, he's a military guy, he's got strong masculine views. He's not afraid to speak his mind. I don't know if I like him or not. I can't agree with him. He's got a Trump hat. I see a lot of Mississippi nursing license plates with upside down American flag stickers on their car. There's a clue bird right there. And ultimately, we've just gotten so far out of reality, and we've got it so great here in America because we have American exceptionalism and toxic masculinity that we can get away with this craziness. We can cover up the recessive genes, if you will. We can cover up all societal ills and plots. Look at California. You know, California, LA in itself is losing 100 people a day. And you might not think that's a lot, but it is. And those are the legal ones. The legal people are leaving LA, not the illegals. They're continuing to import illegal aliens. And where are those normal people moving to? Tennessee, Texas, dare I say Mississippi. Don't worry. Most of them are conservative and don't want anything to do with the liberal agenda. But the liberal agenda is out there. I've got local stories on it right now, covering all sorts of the craziness that's happening in Jackson. One Voice Jackson just opened up a new community center on the south side. WLBT is talking about it. Nobody will talk about One Voice Jackson when they were helping hundreds of Hondurans get Mississippi driver's license last year. Only Gabrielle Olivier saw it and went in there and started asking questions. And by the way, if you're not following him on YouTube, you need to. He's going into the lion's den, literally. It's insane. We're gonna take our last commercial break, and then when we get back, we're gonna talk about Canada a little bit. We're gonna talk about the next hour, what's coming up. You are listening to the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYB. We'll be right back. And welcome back to the Andrew Gosser Show right here on 1039 WYB. This just got sent to me. Breaking. JP Morgan warns of a large scale global food supply crisis could hit within the next year, forecasting global food inflation to nearly double from 2.8 to 5% by early 2027, per JP Morgan Global Research. You know, people get upset when Brother Rick and I talk about, no kidding, make sure you start stocking up on things that you can stock up on now, because food's going to go through the roof. It is. It is. We're and it's the 6-month anniversary of the Iran war. I argue, and I disagree with that. We've been at war since they invaded our U.S. embassy, by the way, which still has its cars parked there, which is still being kept intact. It gets cleaned, dusted out. It's ridiculous, and people are not being responsible, and they're not paying attention to the science. They're more worried about their 4-year degrees and being a social media influencer. And I see the 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 attractiveness to it, the dopamine hit when you go viral. That I literally never had a post go viral like I did that. 178,000 views now. I'm still getting alerts on it. Man, it feels awesome when you go viral. I could get monetized. It's going to be really crazy when you're trying to get paid digitally, but you need to eat physically, and you won't even eat spiritually. I'll tell you what, the priorities we're giving to our kids is just insanity, ladies and gentlemen. And I like to think that the Sweet Bee and I do a good job with our kids, all 4 of them, but it's still like it's not enough. It's not enough. In the next hour, oh, and one more thing, I got a text coming in here saying that, "Andy, all you do is play clips," that came in before the show today. Well, I've got clips to play and comment and review, but how many clips did I play today in the first hour? Oh, that's right, none. The show evolves as the show evolves. It depends on where the field goes, what the chat's saying, what the texts coming in are saying. I got text for Clay, I got text for Lindsay. It's a madness. In the next hour, it's gonna be pick on Canada time. Because Canada is just off the chain, and honestly, Canada is the canary in the coal mine. And we can all see the craziness that's going on up in Canada. The people of Canada themselves are actually very grounded. There's even a group to secede from Canada, not becoming the 51st state, but just secede, and then open up good relations with the United States, their timber, their oil, and getting back on track. But these politicians, they get into office and they think they're invincible. They think they have superpowers. So we're going to talk about Canada, the tariffs, people complaining that Trump could have redone these tariffs the way that the Supreme Court told them, but never did. Some people see that, and I'm like, I can't argue it. We sit here and, man, I just see the opportunities that there are for business is for these young kids out there, the opportunities that are in the world today. And we sit there and we waste time on social media. Oh, I feel like a broken record, but hey, that's just where society is anymore. It's just where society is. Last little bit of Sweet Toots news for the week. Apparently, I know that I said that she's going to Oxford, but it looks like it's going to be official, ladies and gentlemen. Like official, official. Like having to sign the paperwork official. And it's not looking good for state, ladies and gentlemen. It's not looking good for the home team. Do I support her in her decision to go? Absolutely. Am I excited about it? I'm excited that my daughter got accepted into a major university. I'm excited that she's performing so well in high school that they think enough of her that she would be a good candidate. I'm still not sure what she's going to major in. I'm not sure she's sure what she's going to major in, but we still have a year to figure that out. And it's volleyball season. Ladies and gentlemen, first hour is basically in the can. And we didn't even get a chance to talk about uh, what I experienced this morning at the Shell station. I totally forgot about that. Long story short, is we've got all these great Christian schools around here. I'm not going to mention names, but can the girls' skirts get any shorter? I don't know. Can the girls' volleyball shorts get any tighter? You know, women complain about how they're always sexualized and looked as objects. Well, maybe it's society. Maybe it's society objectifying women and yet doing it under the guise of Christianity. I don't know. That's just my opinion. You are listening to the Andrew Gosser Show right here on 103.9 WYB. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back in about 7.5 minutes, ladies and gentlemen. That's pretty good, Rebel. Um, I have to be careful about Ole Miss just because of, uh, I'm a state guy and everything, and I really don't. Honestly, we're off the air, so I'll have that conversation. A lot of times, I just like riling all the Ole Miss fans up. I think it's a lot of fun, and it's honestly it's a character flaw of mine. I'm not supposed to provoke my children or get them mad, but I'll tell you what, it sure is fun getting Ole Miss fans fired up or Alabama fans, UAT University of Alabama at Tuscaloosa. Oh my god, you do that in front of them, they just go absolutely bat spit crazy, and it's so fun. The story it's Friday, so I can kinda go to, like, a open line kinda thing, but, I was at a Florida State bar, and it was Florida State against Florida, and, I was not in Florida State gear, but I was not in Florida gear, and all of a sudden, I don't know what hit me, I don't know if it was the liquid encouragement or not, but all of a sudden, I started doing the Florida chomp, and the whole bar just went into an uproar. I almost caused a stampede, and I got escorted out of the bar. It was the funniest thing ever, and I'm like, "I'm onto something here." And, so I just like firing up the Ole Miss fans. It's a great college. I like how they stood up to those Palestine invaders. Ole Miss boys got all up in that on campus and didn't allow any of that hot garbage, so I've got good things to say. I'm just not gonna say it necessarily on air. But, thanks for commenting. And Clay's got good taste in state. Go Dogs. Hail state. And we are back for hour number 2 of the Andrew Gosser Show right here on 103.9 WYAB, where we are streaming on Rumble, where we are streaming on X, We are streaming on YouTube. No one cares about Facebook, and we're streaming at the mothership that is WYAB.com. So if you can't pick up the 50,000 watt blowtorch of a signal that is 1039 WYAB, like, share, and subscribe to the stream. Go ahead and help us build the channel and grow the station. Tell a friend, tell a neighbor, tell a Democrat, tell a Karen, for crying out loud. Follow me on X. It's just at Andrew Gasser, AndrewGasser. That'd be awesome. And, the mission here at the Andrew Gasser Show is standard. We are here to equip the saints. Who are the saints? You all are the saints. And you all shall consecrate the 5th year and proclaim liberty throughout the land and all of its inhabitants. It shall be a jubilee for you, when each of you shall return his property to each of you and shall return to his clan. Leviticus 25:10. It's on the Liberty Bell, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know what would put Leviticus 25:10 on the Liberty Bell, but it surely wasn't the Christians. Surely wasn't the Christians. I think about my life a little bit, and I think about all the blessings that are in it and the people that I'm just in contact with, and the people I know who just through the grace of God put me in contact with. And, hopefully I can get some of these people back on the station or on for an interview, because I think it would be awesome. But we got to talk about Canada and the tariffs, because it's heating up. And the tariff prices are going out of control. And this is coming from The Guardian, ladies and gentlemen. What are those crazy Brits thinking about America and the tariffs with Canada? Wiped out. U.S. faces surging toilet paper prices amid trade war with Canada. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, the potty paper wars are coming back. You thought COVID caused a run on toilet paper. You ain't seen nothing yet, ladies and gentlemen. You might want to get those bidets installed in your house. We got plumbers here who sponsor us at WYB. I'm sure they'd be happy to put one in for you. Paper products among hardest hit in the sectors after trade negotiations broke down, with 25 to 50% tariffs estimated. Using the bathroom or having a cry is about to become more expensive for North Americans as the U.S. and Canada enter a full-fledged trade war that threatens to flush away decades of peaceful trading and good potty time between the two nations. I added the potty time. Ladies and gentlemen, think about this. This is how they're framing the tariffs. And I did talk about, the province, and it escapes me which province it is, and I don't want to say the wrong province. I know it's not Ontario, but someone will correct me. But as they break away, I did talk about their two major exports to the United States are oil and paper and timber products. It's incredible to me how people are getting all worked up. And you remember the fights at the Sam's Club and at the Costco over toilet paper? Do we remember those days? Do we remember just the complete insanity, that the formation psychosis that happened in 2021 that took place? The mass formation psychosis that's happening now with this Lindsay Clancy chick? My friend who's in Washington, D.C. says that her opinion wouldn't be appreciated in this radio show because she's a swamp creature. Oh, I think it'd be appreciated greatly. We'd have to have a code word for you, though. We'd have to have a code word for you. Paper products are among the hardest hit sectors, with Canada threatening to put tariffs between 25 and 50% on toilet paper. We're Americans. We'll just pay the price, and then we'll figure out how to make toilet paper ourselves. Think about it. There's a whole industry out there. Mississippi could lead the way. We have a great paper timber industry here in Mississippi. Why not find a new way to make our own potty paper? Mississippi's finest potty paper. We could have a whole plant set up. We could have, think of the jobs it'll create. Everybody poops. And with Mississippi pine, we've got to be able to have a way to go ahead and monetize this. The United States imported an estimated $328 million worth of toilet paper from Canada in 2024, according to the World Bank, making it by far the largest exporter of the product to the U.S. Retailers, including Costco, told you there were fights there. No one believed me. source much of their toilet paper products from the country. US accounts for more than 20%. Listen to this. These people are so deranged and so have such a fantasy of just tearing down America because we consume resources. We're also the most productive society in the world, although AI is about to kill that. The US accounts for more than 20% of the global tissue consumption, despite only having 4% of the world's population. We use 20% of the world's global potty paper. That's because we're civilized and we like a clean bum. We're not one of those people that sits there and uses one little square of potty paper. No, man, we pull that sucker off. We get a good old line of toilet paper. We wrap it around our hand a few times. We're not like these dirty Brits. Or man, even now that you got me thinking about it, the bathrooms in Afghanistan, the holes in the ground. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not going to get into that situation, but you want to talk about nastiness. Thank God that Americans use toilet paper. I say more toilet paper for all. And what does it say about there's some British scientist or economist over there who sits there and does the math to figure out that the average North American uses 141 rolls of toilet paper per year, making them the number one for number twos globally, just ahead of the Germans, which is using 134 rolls per person annually. Well, the Nazis did come to America, Project Paperclip, no pun intended. And the Germans, before they got invaded by the Muslims and the Islamic terrorists, we're a very cultured and civilized nation. I actually wanted to learn German back in high school. They were forcing me to take a language course, but my 4 years of choir and being on the show choir, swing choir, we called it back then, I didn't have to take a language, thank God. But I would have taken German. But this is what The Guardian and the UK think about Americans. Listen to this. Here's more coming out of Canada. Tell me that they're not being taken over by Islamist terrorists. The CBC, the Canada Broadcasting Corporation, tells staff not to call 9/11 a terrorist attack. With the 25th anniversary of 9/11 on the horizon, the CBC has circulated a memo to reporters and editors across all of its news platforms, reminding them not to refer to the attacks that claimed 3,000 lives and change the modern world as terrorist attacks. Well, CBC, if it wasn't a terrorist attack, just what the hell was it? Did anybody go into World Trade Center 1 and 2 that day think anything like that was going to happen? Were they the terrorists? Or is it just that we didn't see them and we didn't hear their story? That's what I want to know. What if it's not a terrorist attack, CBC, then what is it? The missive from the broadcaster's Journalistic Standards and Practices Office, a copy of which is obtained by the National Post, includes a section on the long-standing language guidance of the September 11, 2001 attacks carried out by the Islamic terrorist group Al-Qaeda. Do not refer to the September 11th attacks as a terrorist attacks. It reads about halfway through, with the first paragraph bolded and the last two words linking back to the CBC's internal guidance standings. Wait, I mean, what the hell is a hijacking? I can remember the hijackings back in the 80s by the Al-Aqsa Brigade and the PLO, the Palestine Liberation Organization, which took a Christian country, Lebanon, and turned it into an Islamic country in just 25 years. They plunged it into civil war. And we didn't fight like hell. We got bombed and lost a bunch of Marines. God bless them. And we decided we're not going to fight that war. We retreated. And now it's just another mess. I think I talked about it on the radio where we had a guy who was in our fighter squadron who was from Lebanon. He was a storekeeper. May not have had a trip into Lebanon. May not had a trip into Gaza. Well, I did have a trip into Gaza. I can confirm that. And then the Canadians just go on and talk about how it's spurred the development of Homeland Security, blah, 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 war on terror, Afghanistan. I was sent a video, by the way, by Brother Clay, and I just have to read this real quick because this is important. I got bombed with text. Holy smokes. 132 unwritten texts. The Path to Zero, Palladium Pictures. And we're hopefully going to have that guy who created that on the show. We're going to interview him. But it talks about the pullout of Afghanistan, which is which is connected to all of this because we would have never been in Afghanistan if Mohammed Atta and his Saudi Arabia friends didn't friggin' fly planes into the World Trade Center, the Pentagon, and we luckily had Todd Beamer say, "Let's roll," and crash the plane into a field in Pennsylvania. Think about how arrogant these Canadians are. I mean, I'm not talking about the citizens of Canada, but I'm talking about their political leaders. Just incredible. And of course, President Trump is doing his part for this, and I find this absolutely hilarious. And for my people who say, "Andy, you just play clips." Well, here's clip number 1 of the show. It didn't come until 20 minutes into the first hour, but listen to this. And this actually got me, ladies and gentlemen.
And finally, sir, in this executive order, we're also changing the name of the Canada geese as per your request. They will now be known throughout the world as Donald Ducks, which is a more suiting name given that they now live in Lake America and not Canada with the rest of those losers. Donald Ducks are now an American species and they're already happily migrating to our shores as we speak.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's all AI. But when I put it into Grok and said, "Is this AI?" it actually came back with a non-response. It didn't tell me. I actually had to ask Brother Rick, who sent this to me. And that's just how. And look, you know what? In this day and age, can you really put something like that by President Trump? Renaming Lake Ontario to Lake America, renaming the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. I'm all for it. I'm all about power projection. And I can just hear my mother sitting there yelling at me, "Andrew, might doesn't make right." No, but it does make peace. And depending on where you're coming from, it's not a bad thing. I'm not sure it's necessarily the Christian worldview, but hey, that's where we're at. And there's no such thing as a Canadian geese anymore. They're a Donald Duck. Hey, if these Canadian geese are now named Donald Duck, does that mean that the liberal blue-haired wackos, anti-gun nutters, will be pro-gun now because they'll want to go hunting Donald Ducks? I'm just asking. Because I'll tell you what, those Canadian geese, man, they can foul up a pond quick. You thought ducks were bad? That ain't got nothing on that. Last little thing before we go to break, because we're talking about ducks. Elvis is a father. We cut down our duck flock from over 90 ducks. We're down to like 5 or 6, 4 males and 2 females, and both sets of females have ducklings running around the BA farm. So if anybody wants some ducklings, let me know. We'll gather them up and ship them on out. You are listening to the Andrew Gosser Show right here on 103.9 WYB. We'll be right back. And we are back here at the Andrew Gosser Show, right here on 1039 WYB. And look, the name of this show that I'm about to watch about the Afghanistan withdrawal is called The Path to Zero. And I'm really interested to see it as a global war on terror veteran who's been to Afghanistan and who absolutely thinks that General Milley is a traitor in his guidance on the pullout of Afghanistan. Um, I'm excited to see it. I've got the weekend to watch it. I'm gonna probably watch it tonight. I won't watch it tomorrow. I might watch it Sunday after church. Tomorrow is going to be a great day, ladies and gentlemen, and let me tell you why. I'm going to be at a men's retreat with our church. We're doing it with 3 other churches. I'm not sure which churches they are, but we're going to have a bunch of men together, fellowshipping, talking about manly things, Christian toxic testosterone. It's going to be awesome, ladies and gentlemen. I'm trying to also get the news article to share to X on the Canada Broadcasting Corporation refusing to recognize 9/11 as a terrorist attack, but it's not posting the way I want it to. I'll put it up there. So if you're not following me on X, you should be. It's just at Andrew Gosser on X, AndrewGasser. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I've got a story coming here from Kingfish. And I didn't realize this, but this just goes to show you how important local elections are, especially when it comes to things like the DA. Indictment? What indictment? Remember when a Hinds County grand jury indicted Spencer Pittman for allegedly torturing Beth Israel congregation? Well, it appears that the case kind of sort of fell through the cracks, and Hinds County, the state of Mississippi, did not charge this guy with a crime. The feds did. Think about that. And I'm not sure. I'd have to ask Brother Sean on this. I defer to his legal opinion on stuff like this, considering he was a prosecutor in Jackson, in Hinds County, and then he's now a public defender, renowned public defender here in the local area, well respected. And I don't know how often this is. Did they just fall through the cracks because they knew that the feds were going to go charge him? Normally, I thought that they charged him and waited for the state or the federal jury to start or the federal trial to start. Pittman was never served the indictment, even though it was signed. And it's right there on Jackson Jambalaya. And what's really crazy is this is coming from the same case. Magnolia Tribune, Cass Rutledge. I don't quote Cass as much. Maybe he doesn't write as much, but he's still a good guy. Judge orders psych evaluation for accused Beth Israel arsonist. And then I love how Magnolia Tribune has the picture of the arsonist sitting there in the synagogue getting ready to burn it down. Now, I don't condone the burning of the synagogue, but I do like how they've got the picture from 1/10/2026 at 4:53:50 in the morning. Stephen Spencer Pittman, the accused Beth Israel arsonist, has been ordered to undergo psychiatric evaluation. So you can see what's going to try to happen here with this case. They're going to try to plead insanity. Never mind that he had been espousing anti-Jewish faith beliefs on social media, and his parents apparently did as well. In a motion, Pittman's public defender Michael L. Scott argued that Pittman may currently be suffering from an unidentified mental disease, which his defense counsel believes may take him or make him incompetent to stand trial. Geez, where did I hear that? If Lindsay Clancy can get a crazy verdict because she's an emotional wreck, does it mean that this Spencer Pittman kid can get the same thing? Spencer Pittman didn't kill anybody. He just burned down a synagogue and terrorized an entire Jewish community here in Mississippi, not just Jackson, but in Mississippi. Maybe Pittman should be charged as a terrorist. I wouldn't be against it. Pittman, or at a minimum, he should be charged with a hate crime. And even as much as I despise the Islamic religion, we don't need to be burning down their mosques. We don't need to be doing what they're doing. And oh, by the way, another church burned in Michigan, and an illegal alien was charged with the burning. It The church was, like, 80 years old and in good repair. It has this congregation burned to the ground. You don't hear about mosques burning to the ground. We hear about synagogues being attacked by crazies, churches being attacked by crazies, not so much mosques. I wonder why, as I take a sip of my Diet Coke for the working man. The court order states that there is a reason to believe that Mr. Pitton may be presently suffering from a mental disease or defect rendering him mentally incompetent to stand trial. The U.S. Marshal Service has been directed to take Pittman to a facility for the evaluation. Now, if you heard me in the first hour, Mississippi is not like Massachusetts. About the only thing that those two things have in common is that the states both begin with the letter M. Massachusetts, the burden of mentally incompetent falls upon the state, where in Mississippi, the burden falls upon the defense. Now, why do we have this? And see, this is where, again, what you spend with your time consuming things, you are what you can consume. And I consumed a lot of stuff on this about the history of this burden of state versus burden of defense. And you know where this comes from, ladies and gentlemen? It comes back from the 1870s with Queen Elizabeth, or no, Queen Victoria, when someone took a pot shot at her, and she called in all the prime ministers and the judges to say, what the hell's going on here? And they formed some laws. And that's what ruled the West, were these laws that came from Great Britain. And then this thing in 1981 happened. If you were alive then, you know what I'm talking about. It was the assassination attempt of John Hinckley Jr. And he got off as mentally incompetent, and he got to go to a home, and because he was having this fetish with Jodie Foster. Remember that now? Everybody's shaking their head. Remember how, I'm going to say it, remember how pissed off everybody was that this guy got off? Well, a wave of legislation came across states saying that if you were mentally incompetent to stand trial, the defense had to prove it and not the state. And all the states passed law. There's 4 states, Montana, Wyoming, 1 or 2 others, that say that there is no mentally incompetent. There's no mental incompetent ability to defense in their states. But one state, Massachusetts, says that it's still a burden upon the state to prove that the person is mentally incompetent, where this loser here in Mississippi, well, he's going to have to prove it. And there's so much information on this Spencer Pittman kid and his Jewish derangement syndrome. Do you notice, like, on 55 South, when you're going south, you don't have to be Jewish to love a Jewish person? Why do we have to have that? I mean, good friends that I know, that, I mean, the anti-Semitism that is just underneath the surface of the American culture is palpable. We are getting I'm just gonna say it because it's how I feel, and that's why you guys have me on the radio, is I feel we're getting closer and closer to Nazi Germany. Oh, they control the banks. Oh, they destroyed Palestine. No, the Palestinians destroyed Palestine. The Palestinians and the PLO have been at war since before 1940s. Even when there was an Israeli state, no one wanted those people. Go look at the history of it. Jordan doesn't want them. Egypt doesn't want them. We tried to get them shipped off to Libya. Nope, Libya didn't want them. But it sure does make a great Karl Marx movement, a Marxist movement, where you'll have kids at our highest learning institutions, Columbia University, Harvard University, sitting there wearing the shahabs, waving the PLO colors. We're so asleep, ladies and gentlemen. Our kids are getting indoctrinated in this. And I'm not saying that everything that Israel, the country, has done is good. But I'm not saying that they deserve to have their synagogues burned or their people targeted. And people wonder how violent the Mossad is. Well, if you were under attack by a stateless terrorist organization being sponsored by Iran, Saudi Arabia, Oman, and other countries, you'd be pretty pissed off too. You would have a special intelligence service that is the best of the best. I know people at the agency and the FBI that sit there and say that the Mossad is operating at a different level. It's funny that Benjamin Netanyahu gave President Trump a golden beeper to signify when they planted all those beepers. Think about how long that operation took to instill from a military point of view. First to buy the beeper company, manufacture the beeper companies, then get them to all the PLO people or the Hamas people. Decades. And yet America wants this problem solved in a microwave minute. Put the burrito in, cook it for a minute and a half, call it good. You are listening to the Andrew Gosser Show right here on 103.9 WYB. We'll be right back. What's up? You want to come in?
Yeah, I'll come in. Are you familiar with what's going on in Humphreys County?
In what?
In Humphreys County, you familiar with
Nope.
that? That's what we need.
Okay, I'm just going to kick it to you then.
It's the most Republican thing Democrats have ever done. You're gonna like it.
Say again?
You're gonna like it.
Yeah, I'm going to like it?
Yeah.
Here, give me a quick mic check.
Hello, 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 hello.
You're good. You're a broadcast professional.
Thank you.
All right, let me just kill these real quick. Oh, yeah, on the cutting edge of societal evolution here on the Andrew Gosser Show right here on 103.9 WYAB. We're blessed to have in the studio Mr. Chip Matthews. Mr. Chip
Yeah.
Matthews, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing good. And I can't believe, and this is something that's in the news, it's in the national, it's in the state media. It's kind of glossed over real quickly on the TV stations. The most Republican thing any group of Democrats has ever done has occurred in Humphreys County.
Mississippi or nationally?
Mississippi.
This is crazy because, I like to sit there and look at Magnolia Tribune, Dark Horse Press, WLBT, Mississippi Today, Mississippi Free Press. And dude, I'm being serious looking at you in the face. I have no idea what the heck you're talking about.
And I got on the air this morning and we are blessed for the supervisors of Humphreys County.
The county board supervisors?
Yes, all Democrats.
What did they do?
They are imposing a curfew on the entire county over the killing of the boy last week, the football player that got killed on after the game last week. You had a 16-year-old boy that was killed. He was a football player. They've already arrested the two other 16-year-olds that were shooting at him.
Imagine that.
Okay, so the county canceled the game this week between Humphreys County and Yazoo City. Okay, they canceled the game. Then they went a step further for the next 30 days. This isn't just this weekend. This is just some bull. For the next 30 days in Humphrey County, all kids under 18 have to be home by 8 o'clock.
Wow.
And can't come out till 6. And it gets better. All adults have to be home by midnight and can't get out till 6 a.m.
Comrade, show your papers. Where's your papers?
If you're going to work, this, that, and the other. But they have a county-wide curfew of midnight. Everybody's going to be in there, and even businesses have to close by midnight.
What the?
I mean,
where are we living, dude?
I think you may. Do you think that's good? I think it's good.
Dude, that's going to go over like a turd in a punch
bowl.
Well,
yeah. I mean, because it's going to be hard to enforce. But the reality is, if they can pull that off, and they're doing this out of, we got to do something to fix gun crimes and crimes that are going on in our neighborhood and this, that, and the other. They're shutting their county down.
Chip, one of the most dangerous phrases coming out of a politician is?
What's that?
I'm from the government and I'm here to help.
Yeah.
That's one. And then the second one is well, we've got to do something. That when you hear a politician say that, we've got to do something, that is immediate attack on your constitutional rights and the Bill of Rights. Automatic. It doesn't matter what it is. Man, I'm not a big civil disobedience guy, but if I don't live in Humphreys County, but if Hinds County tried some crap like that,
oh yeah,
man, I'm rolling through with my Tea Party flag on my daughter's Jeep. Saying,
but that's
come and take
it. But the situation is, what do you do when that happens? When you decide to just shut it down?
Think about the economic. Well, I'm not sure about the economics of Humphreys County.
They're not what
so
they need to be.
Where is Humphreys County compared to Yazoo?
On the other side,
north, east, southwest.
It would be toward the river from Yazoo.
West.
Yeah.
So that's not far from Jackson.
Belzoni is in Yazoo County. I mean, in what county did I just say?
Humphreys. Yeah. Yeah. Bolivar's up north.
I want to even say there's a junior college there. And this is for all the cities and everything in the county. They have to shut down by midnight.
Man, if I was some young aspiring attorney, I would immediately go file an injunction on this garbage.
I mean, well, see, I can't decide if it's garbage.
No, well, I mean, where's Michael Hurst on this? Where's the Republican Party?
Nobody has said a word. Nobody knows how to act.
I take so much. Chip, you and I, you more than me, we take so much garbage from our local Republican Party because we're out there screaming from the sides of the rooftops and from the sidewalks saying, just get involved, start building,
react.
There should be a Republican Party in what county is it? Humphreys County.
Humphreys County.
We should be immediately filing candidates for all against the Democrats and just making it a civil rights issue. You have freedom of navigation, freedom of movement. Curfew. I mean, that's a military curfew. What are they going to do? Call in the state police? Call in the
That's my
sheriffs?
question. What do you do? What do you do? And this is it is something that could be really, really, really good, and it could be really, really, really bad.
I think this is. I understand where you're coming from, the really, really good side, but let me take the other side in this argument. I think this is really, really, really bad, in so much that they're testing what Americans will tolerate.
And that's the question. This is in the middle of the Benny Thompson district, and everything socialist comes out of the Benny Thompson district. So is this another step in the Benny Thompson flag of socialism for all in Mississippi? Or is this an actual group of people that are trying to fix something?
Rebel Ray's checking in and say the intent is good, but the results are a hard pill to swallow.
Yeah.
And you know what? Is it even going to cut down the gun crime? Is it going to mean that all the law-abiding citizens are going to stay home and the criminals are going to go out on patrol?
Well, we know that the criminals are going out.
Because the law never stopped a criminal. A gun law has never stopped a criminal.
No. And a clock is damn sure not going to stop you. But the responsible parents will keep their kids in tonight. And look, a kid curfew is great, I think. Because nowadays, when they don't understand when the street lights come home, it's time to go home.
Us Gen Xers, my mom had a bell on the front of her house, and she could ring it, and I could hear that thing a half mile away. I swear to goodness. I don't know what it was about the frequency. And when that came home, and NBC used to have, it's 10 o'clock. Do you know where your kids are?
Right.
And our parents, man, if we were out, we could be out past 10 o'clock, but it was on on a weekend. And your parents knew where you were.
Well, let me ask you this. What will those parents do if they're actually at the home when their kids get home at 8 o'clock tonight? How do you get the whole family in the house at 8 o'clock from 8 to midnight? They're going to look at each other like, what do we do?
I'd like to know. Oh, man.
Think about it from that standpoint, too.
It sucks that I can't type like I used to. We'll switch sides. Can I stay for a second?
Yeah, yes.
Because we need to talk about this. But I want to know who these county commissioners are, these supervisors are. I want to know what Benny Thompson thinks about this. I want to know what the state reps think about this. I want to know what the Republican Party is saying about this. I mean, Tate Reeves, I can see curfews. I can.
Yeah.
Hurricane Katrina Vanden Heuvel comes into town. Natural disaster, something like that. I get curfew. But I also understand that the farmers and the people are going to be sitting out there in their front porches with their loaded AR-15s, making sure that everybody's civil, nice, and a little bit friendly. But this is just crazy.
Okay. And then also when you look at this from another standpoint too. You shut it down. I lost my train of thought. You ever do that?
Yep. You shut down the curfew. You get the curfew in place. You shut down all the economic value, putting the adults in by midnight, kids in by, did you say 8 o'clock?
By 8 o'clock. Kids in by 8 o'clock. If you're under 18.
That is.
I mean, that's insane. It's insane to think that
my daughter has a job and she doesn't get home till 10 o'clock at night.
If you have a job, you can pass.
But all
businesses must be closed by midnight.
What if I want to go to the 7-Eleven and get a Coke?
They're not going to be open.
What if I need to go get some medicine?
They're not going to be open. They probably don't have drugstores there anyway. Big box stores are probably already chewed up those counties.
Dollar General going to be closed?
That's another story altogether. Dollar General's.
It's all fun and games. So you start mucking with the Dollar General, then you're in trouble.
Sure hope there's not a Waffle House there.
Oh, man. Waffle House has plans to never shut down. They never shut down.
Correct.
If there's a blizzard, if there's a hurricane, if there's anything, they've got tag teams that go into the Waffle House to make sure it's open.
But I mean, in the middle of the Benny Thompson district, well, we all know it's been socialist, and everybody always refers to Benny Thompson district as the Delta, but it's really the entire left-hand side of the state.
Hey, I see callers are starting to call in. This is obviously something that is a big deal, but we're already up against a great break, and it's not fair to be with a caller. But if you want to call back in the next segment, we're going to take our break. If you want to hang on there, then we'll definitely take your call. But if not, that's Chip Matthews. Breaking news to me anyway, that Humphreys County is imposing a curfew on its people. Yeah, I won't call it martial law yet, but it's just a step in the process, ladies and gentlemen. He's Chip Matthews. I'm Andrew Gosser. This is 103.9 WYB, and we will be right back. Oh, yeah. Final segment of the Andrew Gosser Show, but you're not going to want to go anywhere because the Lindsey Beckham Show is coming in next with special guest host Chip Matthews and Miss Delta Dawn are going to be in here. I'm going to stick around for the first segment because this is just absolutely insane to me what's happening in Humphreys County.
Now, what she was telling you right before we came back, she's your favorite.
Yeah, I love your show. You're one of my favorite shows that I listen to during the daytime.
That's incredible, Miss
Yeah.
Dawn. I'm truly moved and grateful.
She
Wow.
hates my show.
Yeah, I hate Chip's show. I just tolerate him 3 days a week.
But she's my ex-stepmother-in-law.
What?
Yes.
Yes.
Imagine that. So I have the right to pull his ear and
Do you remember how
aggravate
Glenn Beck
him.
used to say that he used to get the duct tape and wrap it around his head so it wouldn't explode?
Yeah.
That just kind of made my head explode a little bit.
See that? Ex-stepmother-in-law.
Wow.
I was married for 6 months once.
Once?
that's all she could stand of him was 6 months.
Oh my goodness gracious. Well, we're talking about Humphreys County now. We're talking about ex-stepmother-in-law
Well,
and
yeah.
married for 6
Yeah.
months.
Yeah.
But your show is great. I really do enjoy your show. You're very informative. You can tell that you do your homework and what you put out there is the truth, and it's very refreshing.
I try really hard. I try to be prepared, and I try to mimic the great one, Rush Limbaugh. Not that I can even come close to what he was, but speaking of that, I was listening to one of his shows from 1991, just a little while ago, or last night, and it was crazy because remember he used to have the homeless update song and the women's rights song.
Right.
And I want to download all those and start incorporating them into my show. Not that I want to steal his work. I always give him credit for it, but that's what it is. And Miss Dawn, it really means a lot to me that you would say that about my show, because I'm trying to get people to be informed and get involved and actually just do more. I mean, we're great at complaining, but when it comes to actually doing something, we're terrible.
And you know that? I mean, the Republican and Democrat Party is down to 17% total people vote in the state of Mississippi. Both parties have destroyed it.
Yep. It's not just Mississippi, though. I can tell you that that's Illinois, that's Wisconsin, that's everywhere.
But in the primary, that's all that showed up was 17%. 83% of the state of Mississippi does not care about any of this.
It's insane to me because people are elected with 34 votes.
Yes.
In some of these elections,
and then they'll say that nut's running my life. Well,
yep.
That's because
you
let it happen.
You've got a crazy mayor going on a tirade, elected with 101 people in a town that has 2,000, and I'm like, man, that's a problem. People are afraid to put out signs in their yard. They're afraid to get involved politically because of all the political violence. And but not you, Chip, and not me, and not Miss Dawn. We're out there moving and grooving, not afraid. I'm actually supposed to have lunch with Spencer Ritchie. I have to set that up. Spencer Ritchie's a Hinds County Republican chairman, and I get along with him great, but we'll have to see.
Oh, they love me. But that's Madison County.
Oh, they love you?
Yeah. That's why they kicked me out.
Well, you know what? That's why we just need to bring more friends to the delegate party every year. And I'm not saying that you want to be necessarily being a ruckus, but man, you need to get change. And we need people like you. We need disturbers, disruption technology that's out there, ladies and gentlemen. We're coming up to the break. That's Brother Chip. Miss Dawn is in the studio. They're going to be filling in for the Lindsey Beckham show coming up next here on WYB. And until next week, ladies and gentlemen, take care, be blessed, yes, and amen. Amen, ladies and gentlemen.